Tackle Junkies, what's going on, fellas? I appreciate you guys clicking on the video. If you haven't subscribed to the channel yet, definitely hit that subscribe button. Don't forget to hit that little bell, that way you get notified every time I put out a new video. Today, we're going to talk about how I fish the shaky head. All right, guys, if you tuned into my last Sunday Night Live, I had mentioned that I'd already made a shaky head video, but I lost half of that footage. I was out last week on my boat during that 110-degree heat wave that we had, and had a pretty good video going, but for whatever reason, when I got home, half the footage was gone. Not sure if it was just me not hitting record, or maybe the sun had something to do with it. I know sometimes the sun and the GoPros don't mix well together, but for whatever reason, I do have the clip of me chugging a Gatorade, so I will put that in here really fast. All right, here we go. Here's got the stopwatch. Frost, Glacier Cherry, done. That had to be what, 6 seconds? And it was good. Go figure, right? I got that, but I don't have the good tips on how to fish the shaky head. So anyways, we're back out here at the ponds today to see if we can get this video done for you guys. First up, what is a shaky head? And basically it's a jig head that allows your bait to be up off the bottom. So if you have a little pond like we have here, that's got a lot of, vegetation, leaves and things like that on the bottom, if you were to drag a Texas rig on the bottom of this pond, your Texas rig is going to get lost in all that. Where the shaky head, again, allows the bait to be up off the bottom so the bass can see it a little bit better, okay? So that's basically what a shaky head is. This is a jig head that allows your plastic to pretty much stand up. That being said, you need to use a plastic that doesn't have a lot of salt in it. That way it does float up off the bottom, okay? For me, a shaky head is more of a finesse presentation. I know a lot of guys like to power fish a shaky head, which you can do, which again, we'll talk about here in a minute. But for me, it's really not how I like to fish, but it's how I have to fish when I'm trying to get a bite. Okay, so when the fish are in a negative mood, they're real finicky, they're not biting, this is what I will step down to. A lot of guys might reach for a drop shot or a wacky rig. For me, it is the shaky head. I have a lot of confidence in this bait, been fishing it for years. But don't think you have to put a straight tail worm on the shaky head. You can put on there craws and minnows and things like that. Anything that's going to look real realistic on the bottom. Let's head over to the truck. I'll show you guys a few different combos that you can use for the shaky head, as well as some different baits that you can rig up. All right, guys, like I said earlier, for me, this is more of a finesse deal, but you don't always have to use, spinning gear for this technique. I have a few different ones set up here. I got one here with 15-pound test. Okay, this is more of my power fishing setup for shaky heads. 15-pound line. I got one of those Excite Baits X-Lock heads on here with the Raptor Tail Junior. Now really, guys, this bait right here is really one of my favorites for the, I guess you can call it power fishing shaky head, just because it is very buoyant. It stands up really, really well. Wide gap hook on there. That's definitely an excellent choice. Definitely check that one out. I'll link that down below. But this, again, this is more when I'm power fishing the shaky head. It's not that I'm not getting bit. Again, it's just a different look when I go to this. The bait's up off the bottom versus being flat on the bottom like a Texas rig would be. So again, you don't always have to finesse when you're talking shaky head. You can be like old Phantom fishing and you can do power finesse, which I'll link that video down below. Definitely check him out. But again, that's 15-pound test. I have another one here that has 12-pound test. Again, little shaky head on there. This is the Berkeley Chigger Bug. Now, I was messing around with this one the other day when I was at the lake. It doesn't float all that well. It's still pretty good, but I was being more aggressive with it. So again, you can use something like this, but when it lands on the bottom, again, it's landing with the pinchers up. And again, it's just better than laying flat on the bottom. So I'm talking more finesse shaky head. That's when I go to the spinning rod. And for heavier pound test, 12 and 15, I do like the casting setups, but for 8 or 10, I do like it on spinning gear. It's much easier to throw those little lighter heads like we have here, a little 1/8 ounce shaky head. Now this is the combo here from Piscifun. This is the Serpent Rod, which a lot of you guys are asking about this rod when I talked about the casting rod, the Serpent casting rod from Piscifun. So the spinning rod is available now, which I'll link down below at Amazon and at Piscifun. But great rod here, guys. Been using it now for a few times out, and same great features as the casting rod. Love those grips, just like I talked about on the casting rod. Same grips here, really tacky, especially in wet conditions. You shouldn't lose any grip. It's got this little hump here, okay? which really fits nice in your hand. If you guys can see that, it's just the perfect spot right there. It fits nice in your hand, very comfortable, no exposed threads right there. So again, just a very comfortable rod. And I don't know if you guys can pick that up or not, but you'll see you can feel the wraps on this rod. And normally when the blank is not sanded, it does make it a little more stronger. So that's nice to see as well. Nice guides on here. I'd call these more of a medium micro guide. So it's not that big guide that you typically see on your spinning rods, which kind of reduces line slap. You get a further cast. But this particular rod here is a 7'2" medium light fast action rod. Loads at 1/8, maxes out at 1/2, and line is 6 to 12 pound test. That's kind of what they recommend on this rod, but perfect for really any finesse application if you stay within those specs. And again, that's what we're using here for the shaky head, great for the Ned rig, drop shot, you know, things like that. But again, guys, definitely check this one out. I'll link it down below. But 8 pound test on here, again, that's what we're going to go with. As far as the head goes, okay, I use a few different ones here. Now, the main one that I use is one from Picasso. This one here is called the Shakedown. It's a tungsten. Okay, tungsten ball head there. I use them in green pumpkin and black. We got A 3/16 1/4. I also use the Aaron Martin Rhino head. Again, A 3/16 1/4, black and green pumpkin. I also use the ones from Excite Baits, the X-Lock. That's the one that I had on the Raptor Tail Junior there. I love these ones here. These really aren't considered an actual shaky head, but if you're using the right soft plastic, they will stand up on bottom. That's the Owner Finesse ball head. One of my favorites right there. I've been using those for many, many years. And I'll also use a heavier shaky head as well. Again, that's the Aaron Martin's Rhino head. I believe that one's a 3/8. I also have it in 1/2. Big hook on there as well. And again, this depends on the bait that I'm using, maybe the cover that I'm fishing around, possibly depth, fall rate. A lot of things come into play when you're picking out your weight. Now, typically I go pretty light. I'm looking for a pretty slow fall. So normally I'll go for like an 1/8 or a 3/16. I will step it up to a 1/4 if we do have some wind. But that's what you need to keep in mind if you're looking for a certain fall rate. So let's say you need a heavier head, okay, because of the wind, but you want a slower fall. So then you need to use a bait that's got some drag to it to slow you down on the fall. Okay, you can also use lighter line for a faster fall, or if you need a slower fall, you can use heavier pound test as well. So just keep that in mind when you're trying to adjust your fall rate. You can use your trailer or the pound test to get the fall that you're looking for. So let's go over just a few baits. Now, one of my favorites, which I've been using again for years, I really like this one again on that Owner Finesse ball head, PTL Crawl Derv. Again, one of my favorites. I always have these on me. You guys ask all the time if I still use PTL. This is one bait that I'll always have with me at all times. Again, the Crawl Derv here in the natural color. It's a perfect color here as well. Green pumpkin orange, kind of like that Bama type color. But that's a great one there. Very buoyant. So the PTL stuff, very buoyant. It does float really well. Again, one of my favorites, Craws, is going to be the Excite Baits Raptor Tail Junior. Again, they float really, really well. Again, I like this one more when I'm power fishing the shaky head. Always keep some of those on hand. You know, straight tail worm, again, is hard to beat. Plasma tail, solid black, you can pick them up at Karl's. I'll go ahead and link them down below. But let's go ahead and grab the plasma tail here. We'll rig one up, and then we'll show you guys how to fish it. All right, guys, we're going to rig up the plasma tail here, 6.5 inch. And again, Biospawn is a great choice because they don't have a ton of salt in it. I know Zoom, the trick worms, I believe you can get those with no salt as well. Really, any bait will work for you, but they're going to work the best when they have either little to no salt. Let's go ahead and grab the plasma tail here, which is perfect for this little pond here because it looks like chocolate milk. Show you guys a quick little trick here. Now, again, the shakedown here, it's got a screw keeper on it, which I really do like. But one thing to keep in mind is some companies will have an extra long screw keeper. If that's the case, I will cut it down just a little bit just because that does affect the gap that you have from the keeper to the hook point. But this one here is about perfect. Now, when you're rigging it up, get your bait, okay? Get the keeper there, and push it into it to get her started. And twist it on there, okay? And you want to rig it nice and straight. I'll show you guys a quick little tip here. Okay, let me get her like so. Now, okay, the bait's got a seam line to it. Okay, have the seam line in line with the shank, okay? And then use your thumb here to kind of line it up, okay, and go in on that seam line, okay? Go in on the seam line there, like so. The way you know you got it rigged nice and straight, okay? Now you'll see I didn't come all the way through there. I got my hook right there, I mean right below the surface, but I'm still weedless. It's still within the bait. That's how you rig up the Milespawn lure 6.5 plasma tail on the shaky head. All right guys, you've seen the equipment that I'm using, the baits and the jig heads and all that. Let's go ahead and show you guys how to fish it. All right. And that longer rod gives you one heck of a cast. All right, let us settle to the bottom. Now, again, this water here, it's pretty stained up, but the lakes that I normally fish, they're pretty muddy. Now, in clear water, obviously it's going to be different, but in stained to muddy water, this is not a search bait, okay? What I'm searching for, okay, especially on the lakes that I fish, what I'm searching for is stumps, you know, rock, hard bottom, things like that. And when I come across it, okay, what I'm going to do is to shake the slack in my line. That's the thing about a shaky head. Again, it's up off the bottom, but the deal is once you find, again, that stump, that rock, or whatever the case may be, once you find it, you can move the bait, give it some action without actually moving it out of the strike zone. I think your Texas rig is just laying flat on the bottom. To give it some action, you got to hop it and move it. Well, you're actually pulling it. With the shaky head, again, it's up off the bottom. All you're doing is going to lower your rod just a little bit and just shake that slack in your line, and that tail's dancing down there. That will entice a bite. I mean, you can be aggressive with it. You can hop it off the bottom, let it fall, things like that. Again, that's where you can adjust your fall rate if they want a faster fall, slower fall. It's something you can play around with. But for the most part, I'm going to throw it out. I'm going to drag it in. I'm going to feel for that stump, that rock in, that hard bottom. Once I'm on it, I'm going to shake it, see if there's a fish around it. If not, reel it back in, throw it back out. But typically, I'm going to be in a spot to where I know there are some stumps there. I know there's some rock there, something like that. Again, I'm not going to search for fish with this bait. I want to make sure I'm in an area that could hold some fish, that does have some cover and things like that around. And again, I'm going to search for those with the shaky head. Again, try and find a fish that way. But you're not going to just throw this out in the middle of a muddy water lake and hope to find a fish. You know, there's just really nothing about this rig that's going to draw them in. For one, they can't see. So if you see some brush or something like that out there, again, make a cast to it. You know, let it sink to the bottom. Drag it right around the brush. You know, if there is a fish around that brush, it's going to be hard to resist something like this. So again, you're not really searching for fish, you're more searching for the cover that could hold the fish. Then the bait's going to be right there trying to entice the bass. I mean, it's really a slow way of fishing, especially for me. You guys know I'm a power fisherman. I love cranking and throwing a spinnerbait and things like that. But when you can't get bit and you know you're around fish or on fish, it really is hard to pass up a shaky head. Again, just experiment with retrieves. You can just work it fast. You can hop it, pick up your slack. Or mainly, like I said, I'm just dragging it. It's real slow. If I feel something hard, I'm stopping, I'm shaking my slack. Could have a decent one here. It's hard to do this when you can't get down to the bank. Oh man, let's go. There's no way I'm reaching this fish. Wait, maybe I will. All right, we got her. Not a bad one. The old shaky head. The old shaky head. Bad, probably maybe 2.5, maybe. Not bad at all. Definitely 2. Fat little healthy bass. There it is on the old shaky head. 6.5 plasma tail, solid black. All right guys, there you have it. Shaky head, hot summer day, fish on the bank. Hope you guys enjoyed the video. If you did, smash the thumbs up. Thanks for watching guys, and we will see you guys on the next one.